By today to the Line of Tech YouTube channel where we learn stuff about programming and of course stuff that concern technology and a lot more. In today's video, I'll be taking you through a step-by-step guide how you can download and install MySQL on your Mac computers. macOS running from 14M, which is the latest version of macOS, and older version of macOS. Of course, mine is macOS Mandarin 12.7.5 for the latest version of macOS Mandarin 2024. So let's just go ahead and open a browser. For me, I'm using Google Chrome. So I'll just add new tab and the official website for MySQL community server download, which I'll leave the description below, is we go ahead and type dev.mysql.com for the home page and /downloads for the download page. This is as much as to say, hey, browser, take me to the home page, and then you take me to the download page. So we wait for that. So this is the MySQL community downloads. For Windows, you can click here. So we click on MySQL community server, and here we are on this page. So if you're using latest macOS version, for instance, if you're using macOS version 14, the latest, you're good to go and download. But then you have to check that you download the 8.4.1, the latest version of MySQL LTS for long-term support. You make sure that you download the long-term support. And if you're on Windows, you can click and take the operating system for Windows or Linux. And so now, because I am using macOS 12.7.5 from Android, and if I go ahead and download 8.4.1, and this is from macOS 14, it's not going to install on this Mac computers at all because it's not compatible with it. And so let me just go ahead and click on archives for older version of MySQL, and let's take the product version because I've come to the realization that from macOS 12 we have, which is compatible for macOS 12. If you are older version of macOS, you have to make sure, for instance, you go ahead and take say 8.0.27 for macOS 11, and if you go a little above 8.3.30, say for instance 8.3.32, which is not compatible with this macOS 12, so you can see that this is for macOS 13. It's not compatible at all. So I'll go ahead and take version 8.0.30 for macOS 12 so that I can go ahead. So this was released on July 7 of 2022. So I can go ahead and download the DMG archive here. So let's click on download, and we're right here. The download is in progress, but because it takes a little longer, so I'll pause the video and return for the installation process. And let me add this information. As you observe, when I click on the download for 8.0.30, of course, we download started right away. But if you are downloading latest version, for instance, the latest version 8.4.1, if you click on the download, you can see that this takes you to this page where you're asked to log in or you sign up for an account with Oracle. Of course, you will not want to do that. And so you just go ahead and click no thanks, just start my download. And you click on this and the download should start right away when you click on no thanks. I downloaded these multiple versions because I'm trying to do a little experiment. And what I've come to realize that when you are downloading the MySQL for older version of Mac computers, or you want to install MySQL on macOS 12 and older versions, what you have to do is make sure that you don't download the the ones with the ARM. Say for instance, when you want to download version 8.4.0, you make sure that you download the one with 86 and 64-bit, because I have done this experiment. If you download the one with the ARM 64-bit, it won't get installed. So make sure that you download this so that it will be compatible with your Mac computers. So let's just go ahead and mount this 8.4.0 for macOS 14, though I'm using macOS 12.7.5 Mandarin. So let me go ahead and right click on this and we open with disk image mounter, which is kind of like mount the image. So when we mount the image, let's wait for the disk image to mount. This is kind of like, now that we have mounted the disk image, you can see that here. So in the disk image, we have the PKG, the package. So we go ahead and right click and we open with installer as the default. So we open and the package will run a program that determines if the software can be installed. Go ahead and allow, and we go ahead and click on continue, and the licensing we click continue, we go ahead and agree, and we go ahead and if you want to change the location for installation, you can go ahead and change this location here, or if you want to customize the installation, you can go ahead and customize here, but I advise you to just install default. So we go ahead and click that, and we have to provide administrative password for this computer, and we install this software. So we make sure that we please enter a password for the user, which is root. So I'll provide my own password, and I'll click on finish, and I have to provide password now for we are under configuration. So let me provide my password to this computer and click OK. So which means the installation was complete successfully. We go ahead and reclose. So do you want to move the MySQL 8.4.0 community installer to be? And if you want, you can keep the installer for next time, or you want, you can transfer this to your external hard drive. For me, I think I'm gonna keep this. So it is installed. We have installed MySQL. Let's go ahead and confirm that MySQL is installed, and I'm using this method to confirm installation. Of course, there are other means by using the terminal, but we'll get to that later. So we get here to the Apple logo and about this Mac. So system report, and we scroll down to software. Under software, this is software. In software, we should have installations. So installations, you can see that we should have MySQL Share 8.4.0 community. So this has confirmed that we have successfully installed MySQL. So let's go ahead, and we are going to need one more thing for this SQL to write our SQL command, which is going to be MySQL Workbench. So I have already downloaded my SQL Workbench, but if you haven't downloaded my SQL Workbench yet, you can still open your browser but I'll leave this link in the description below. So now let's go ahead and install my SQL Workbench. For you to download my SQL Workbench, from me, I've already downloaded that. You can open your browser and you can just go ahead and say my SQL Workbench download. So you can just click here, but I'll make sure that I leave this link in the description below. And this is the site for my SQL Workbench 8.0.38 from macOS, and you make sure that you check that for 86/64-bit. If you want to download the older version of MySQL Workbench, you can get here to archive and you can check for the version that you want. But I want to go with the latest version of MySQL Workbench and go with this, and I'll click download. Because I've already downloaded that, I have to cancel it. So let me go ahead and cancel this. You can see that I've already downloaded my SQL Workbench community. So let's go ahead and install that. Let me just close this right here and right here. And we get to find our where's MySQL Workbench. Look at the disk image, and again we right click and we open with disk mount. So let's wait for the. So this has opened, and what we need to do now is we drag my SQL Workbench into the application folder. So we drag, we click and hold, we drag, and we drop this right here, and we can see that it is installing. So let's wait about 10 seconds. It should be installed if successful. Okay, so MySQL Workbench is installed. So let's go ahead and open the installed MySQL Workbench. So this is the logo symbol for MySQL Workbench. So I'll make sure that right click and I'll open this. So we click on open. So remember when we were installing MySQL, the community server, we created a password for the root. And so when we are to access this root server, we need to make sure that we provide that password. And so this is the root. If you want to create connection, you can click on this plus symbol right here. So let's go ahead and click on this root, and we need to make sure that we provide that password. And so let me enter that password. So we click on that, there you go. And so this is now the text editor interface right here, where you enter your SQL query commands, and this is the run button when you enter your query, and share administration, and for schemas you can click right here, and you can see that there is one database schema right here for system, and the tables in it, you can see all of that. So for the basics of that, I'll make a separate video where I'll introduce to you how you can use the workbench for effective database manipulation. So for instance, we can go ahead and create our first database here with Redis, create database, and we call that MyDB, and we aim that with a semicolon. So we can go ahead and execute that right here with this, execute the selected portion. So we can click on that, and down here you can see that it is marked with a green, correct? So which means the query that we wrote ran successfully. So now if you are right here now, database schema, what you have to do now is you refresh, and if you refresh, there you go, we have our database called MyDB. But when you click on that, there is no table, no view, no stored procedures, and no functions as well. So let me go ahead and just comment this. You hold on to the command, you highlight, you hold on to the command and the forward slash. In case you're having problem with the connection, say for instance your share home and you couldn't connect to the local host, what you have to do is you have to get over share to system preferences. And system preferences, you see the right down here you have MySQL. So MySQL, you can see that my own connection is running. So if I stop here, automatically the MySQL Workbench connection will stop. So you make sure that the connection is running here, and if it is stopped, you make sure that you start it and you put in the password, and so you're good to go.